Thank you, Gabby, for the introduction. We're excited to have you back emceeing tonight's event. Let me begin by stating the obvious. We have a homeless crisis in the Portland area, and it's getting worse, not better. But to make matters more confusing, there are so many organizations that help the homeless that it's difficult to know who to financially support. And this is where Hope for the Homeless Foundation comes in. We vet nonprofit organizations to determine which organizations deserve your financial support. The very first step was to identify the organizations helping the homeless. Who are they? And what do they do? The Rose City Resource, a Street Roots publication, identifies 325 nonprofit organizations that help the homeless in the Portland area. Yes, you heard me right, 325 organizations. That's a lot of nonprofits helping the homeless. The second step was for HHF to place these 325 organizations into one of four categories, depending on how they answer two fundamental questions. One, do they tackle underlying causes of homelessness? You see, if an organization doesn't address one of the underlying causes of homelessness, then they're not solving the problem. And two, do they assist with both transitional housing, getting them off the street, and then when they're stabilized, assist in finding them permanent housing? By answering these two basic questions, organizations can be divided into one of four groups, as shown in this quadrant. The four boxes each represent a different approach to helping the homeless. The yellow box represents those organizations that provide transitional housing without addressing the underlying causes of homelessness. About 9% of the 325 organizations identified are in this category. The blue box represents those organizations that address underlying causes of homelessness but do not provide assistance with transitional or permanent housing. The red box represents all those organizations providing compassionate care such as food, clothing, medical assistance, etc., but they do not assist with housing or address the underlying causes of homelessness. The green box, the box we want to focus on, is what we call holistic advocacy. They do both. They assist with housing needs and address underlying causes of homelessness. These are the nonprofits that have the potential of actually helping people to return to stability so they're no longer homeless. Now, if you're interested, you can download a list of these organizations color-coded by the approach they take in helping the homeless. HHF has come to the conclusion that the best business model, and by that I mean the most successful approach taken to help the homeless get permanently housed, is a three-step process. They begin by providing transitional housing so the homeless are safe and where they are provided the basic necessities of life. They then provide individual case management services that specifically identifies their underlying causes of homelessness and the treatment necessary to return them back to stability. And finally, once the person has stabilized, the nonprofit assists in finding permanent housing while continuing with case management services for long-term success. This business model works, and holistic advocacy, represented by the green box, uses this business model. We estimate that only 15% of these 325 organizations actually use this business model, and in the years to come, these are the organizations that HHF will vet to verify that they meet the criteria for our financial support. HHF seeks out nonprofit organizations who address underlying causes of homelessness, whose results are cost-effective, who can document their success rate in helping people get permanently off the streets, and where a strategic financial contribution could have a significant impact on growing their results. Organizations that meet these criteria are thoroughly vetted by reviewing their financial records, doing an on-site visit of their facilities, and tabulating an objective vetting scorecard that answers 7 critically important questions. In the first 2 years, HHF has vetted 10 nonprofit organizations that use this business model, including the 4 financial grant recipients we are going to introduce to you tonight. If you're interested in a summary of the vetting results of these 10 organizations, a download is available for your review. I began by saying the homeless crisis in Portland is getting worse, not better. And unfortunately, it's true. But it need not be that way. Yes, it is a huge problem, but this crisis is solvable. We solve this crisis by financially supporting those organizations that are successfully getting people off the street, like the 4 awesome organizations we'll be introducing to you tonight.